We all know this lettering, bold, curly, exuberant, that instantly says funfair, circus, carnival. But what is it about these fonts and the trappings of carnivals that makes them feel festive and at the same time it's a little bit creepy? And just right for Halloween, when the line between bright and dark gets blurred. What set me thinking about all this was a recent trip to Argentina, where the ornate lettering of Buenos Aires reminded me of the bright, curling signs of fun fairs and circuses. These carnival or fairground letterforms share a recognisable DNA. Thick, confident strokes, heavy, often split serifs, the hallmark of the Tuscan style. Highlighting of the waist, different hues for top and bottom. Dividing letters into top and bottom halves, tiny ornaments, balls, curls, teardrops, enlivening the middles, decorative outlines, drop shadows, and three-dimensional sides, known sometimes as returns, giving the illusion of carved raised letters. All these tricks make the lettering look physical, solid enough to bolt onto a wagon or a ride. Like so many strands of European design, the roots lead back to Italy. From the Renaissance onwards, northern Italian artisans cultivated a taste for rich scrollwork, ornamentation that could seem excessive in Protestant northern Europe. By the 18th and 19th centuries, itinerant Italian craftsmen had spread across Britain, bringing their skills in coach painting and decoration. The Victorians even labelled their handiwork Italian scrolling. These painters were the natural decorators of travelling show wagons, stages on wheels, and their style merged with British and Romany striping traditions to help create the look we now call fairground art. Fairs and circuses themselves were already halfway to the uncanny and otherworldly. They offered exotic animals, freaks of nature, demonstrations of magnetism and mesmerism, and the spooky thrills of early dark rides. Respectable townsfolk could wander for a few hours into a glittering twilight world, loud, gaudy, a little dangerous, then return safely to daylight. That mix of joy and a bit of dread has clung to the imagery ever since. Across Catholic Europe, another explosion of colour and misrule came each year before Lent. Of course, I mean Carnival. In America, however, the word carnival was borrowed for travelling fairs and amusement parks. The connection wasn't just linguistic. Both celebrated a temporary overturning of the ordinary world. Meanwhile, in printing, type founders like Vincent Figgins in London were producing extravagant Tuscan and ornamented fonts for posters, proclaiming feats of necromancy and magnetism. Printing and paint met in the shared desire to shout and to astonish. Those traditions of fairground signwriting survive thanks to enthusiasts such as Joby Carter, who ran a steam fair and who now teaches his extraordinary craft.
In the States, you find they call it sign painting, but we call it here signwriting. I would argue that British fairground is unique. British fairground art is so punchy. A long time ago, they used to paint signs as pictorials because people couldn't read. And as time went on, more and more writing was involved. They had horses and they had carts and they brought stuff along. And then when steam came along, suddenly they went from swing boats to steam yachts and the rides could get heavier and heavier.
Of course, Italian migration didn't stop at Britain or America. Around 1900, hundreds of thousands of northern Italians settled in Argentina, bringing their decorative arts with them. In Buenos Aires, these flourished into fileteado porteño. Fileteado meaning roughly lined or edged. and porteño, meaning of Buenos Aires. It's an exuberant style of lettering and ornament, and continuing the association with moving vehicles, was used prominently on the city's buses. In 2015, UNESCO listed filete porteño as an element of the world's intangible cultural heritage.
This is sort of gone further. You've got the two colours, dark underneath, tiny little highlights under there. And on this side, we've got a lighter green, and then we've got a lighter one on top, and a darker one under there, and a light bit there. And in here, you've got these absolutely lovely balls. Now, I haven't really gone to that extent. That's going even further.
When I saw it in Argentina, I thought, that looks like fairground art to me.
I know it does, and that's why I'm so drawn to it. Put it on a vintage fair and it wouldn't look out of place. It's just beautiful.
And its exuberance lives on in murga, the boisterous street bands of drummers and dancers that animate Buenos Aires' own carnival. So the same decorative DNA travelled from Italy to Argentina as it had to Britain and to the USA, to be inevitably re-exported via global pop culture to the world. In movie culture, carnivals and circuses and fun parks, with their traditions of so-called freaks and shadowy sensational scariness, have gradually established themselves as tropes, memes of the horror genre. Psychologists talk about coulrophobia, the fear of clowns, as rooted in uncertainty. The painted smile hides what the real face feels beneath. Our carnival lettering works somewhat the same way. It promises excitement and laughter, but entices you into a world of surprises and whatever lurks within. And like Carnival itself, it reminds us that the line between delight and dread is thinner than we may think.